Instant gratification is becoming a staple of our way of life. My number one stock pick for 2024 is a company that delivers digital products instantly and physical products to your doorstep in as little as 2 days or even 2 hours. And if you haven't figured it out yet, my number one stock pick is Amazon. The effort to reward ratio that Amazon provides is unparalleled. And while I think that this theme of instant gratification may honestly serve as an excellent trait to look for when picking the winning stocks over the next decade, it's a powerful and yet tiny tip of the iceberg when it comes to the kraken that is Amazon. Amazon may very well become the everything store it initially set out to be and dominate commerce as a whole. Here's a quote from the book, The Everything Store, that I've been reading that I think sums it up really well from Jeff Bezos. We're genuinely customer-centric. We are genuinely long-term oriented, and we genuinely like to invent. Most companies are not those things. They are focused on the competitor rather than the customer. They want to work on things that will pay dividends in 2 or 3 years, and if they don't work in 2 or 3 years, they will move on to something else. And they prefer to be close followers rather than inventors because it's safe. Because it's safer. So if you want to capture the truth about Amazon, that is why we are different. Very few companies have all of those 3 elements. So we know from recent earnings reports that as Amazon increases their delivery speeds, customers shop more often and spend more. And I've talked about that extensively in previous videos. And since I started talking about Amazon on the channel here and investing was back in the middle of May. So since then, the stock is up over 32% in that time span. So Amazon might just be the only company in history that can destroy competition without directly competing with them. I've outlined why I believe Amazon is going to be a huge winner in the long term, but I think there's a lot of reasons why it's showing promise in the short term as well. For example, if we look at input costs, they're declining. In the US, the average price of diesel fuel continues to drop. It reached $3.82 a gallon as of January 8th. You add to the mix Amazon's increasing use of robotics, as well as their electric delivery vans, courtesy of Rivian, and you have all these pretty significant levers that the company is able to pull to incrementally increase profits on the staggering amount of revenue that they already rake in. So I could go on and on about this. There's so many additional reasons, again, that we've talked about in the past on the channel here, like the company's shift to a regional distribution network that is more efficient, and their fast-growing, higher-margin business segments like advertising, which I'll touch on some more in a second. But these businesses are growing very quickly and making up a more substantial part of Amazon's pie of revenue, and they also bring higher margins with them. So as you can see in the chart here, Amazon has a whopping lead in e-commerce sales. In the US here, they have 37.6% market share. Compare that to the second best competitor here is Walmart at only 6.4%. And yet, e-commerce share of total US retail sales in 2023 was only 15.6%. So only 15% of retail sales are e-commerce, and Amazon's capturing a third of that. So let's call that 5% of the total US retail sales market. So, they've barely penetrated. And then when we look internationally, it's, even smaller. Global retail sales are projected to be just over $30 trillion in 2023. And, in the last 12 months, Amazon did $554 billion in total revenue. So including all their other business segments beyond retail. But that's still less than 2% of global retail sales. And this is also in line with statements that Amazon CEO Andy Jassy has made on how they've penetrated only a tiny amount of the global opportunity. There's definitely a massive runway for growth here. Now, Amazon's infrastructure and fulfillment network took over 2 decades and billions on billions of dollars to build out, which I think gives the company a huge moat. And, as you can see in the chart here, Amazon is really at war with everyone. This chart is from 2019, but you get the point. Amazon, they're at war with everyone, and far more often than not, they are winning. And what's missing from the chart, are some newer business segments, which I think may just have the highest chance for, possessing the most potential moving forward here. And I would include, Amazon's business segments like Whole Foods, healthcare. Whole Foods they acquired, their healthcare segment, artificial intelligence, advertising, and the way that all of these segments of the business intersect and can really operate cohesively. So the company, they're building on their foray into healthcare with Amazon Pharmacy, Amazon Clinic. They acquired One Medical. Again, we've talked about all this in past videos. But the company has been growing at a fast rate in key higher margin business segments over the past year. So obviously, while retail still makes up the bulk, their other business segments are growing very fast. For example, advertising services grew 23% on average through the first 3 quarters of 2023. And this is in a time span where you saw many other companies, revenue declining, including the likes of Apple. Seems the only risk to Amazon is becoming classified as a monopoly and the ensuing government intervention to break them up at this point. They don't yet have a monopoly in any one vertical, but they're hurtling toward a monopoly of the economy. But at the same time, the company has the potential to be a deflationary force that improves our lives. Transportation is one of the highest costs that gets passed down to the consumer when it comes to the groceries you buy, and a significant cost for everything else you buy, really, too. And Amazon continues to innovate and find ways to reduce these costs. Just compare the following: USPS, perhaps the shining example of everything wrong with the bureaucratic industrial complex. Their delivery trucks are an eyesore that looks like they haven't been updated since the 1970s. It's the only organization whose one job is to deliver packages that seems consistent only in the fact that it's a gamble whether your package will arrive on time, let alone reach its destination at all. And you compare that with this futuristic-looking electric Rivian delivery van that delivers packages to your doorstep in a matter of hours. So all these reasons and more, I think, are why 2024 is going to be a very big year for Amazon. And regardless, it's a stock I want to be in for the long term. I think Amazon is an unstoppable force at this point that has arguably won capitalism. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. I look forward to hearing what you guys think in the comments below.